Trial Parikshan. A parikshan is the formal examination of evidence and legal arguments in court to determine the guilt or innocence of a defendant. It's where the case is presented and a verdict is reached. Example sentences. The trial lasted for several weeks as both sides presented their evidence. परीक्षण के ही हप्तासम्म चल्यो जसमा दुबे पक्षले आफ्नो प्रमाण प्रस्तुत करे. During the trial, the judge listened carefully to all testimonies before making a decision. परीक्षण को क्रममा न्यायाधीशले सबे साक्षीहरूलाई ध्यानपूर्वक सुने र निर्णय गर्नुअघि विचार गरे. Court अदालत. Imagine you are stepping into a grand courtroom, the place where all important legal decisions are made. In Nepali we call this Adalat. It's where the drama of justice unfolds. Lawyer, Vakil or Adhivakta. Meet Vakil, your trusted guide in the legal maze. A lawyer or Vakil represents clients in court, making sure their voices are heard and their rights protected. Judge, Nyayadhish. The Nyayadhish is the wise figure who wears the robe of justice. He or she makes the final decisions and ensures the law is upheld with fairness. Evidence Praman. In court, Praman or evidence is crucial. It's like the puzzle pieces that help build the full picture of the case. Think of it as the proof that ties everything together. Witness, Sakshi or Gawah. Imagine Sakshi or Gawah, the person who saw it all and shares what they know to help the court understand the truth. Verdict, Faisla or Nirnay. The Faisla or Nirnay is the final decision made by the judge. It's like the grand finale of a legal drama where the outcome is revealed. Contract, Samjhauta or Karar. A samjhauta or contract is an agreement where all terms and conditions are laid out. Think of it as a legal handshake that seals a deal. Bail, Zamanat or Dharoti. If someone needs to be released from jail while awaiting trial, they may need Zamanat or Dharoti, which is a guarantee that they will return for their court date. Appeal or Puravedan. When a party is unhappy with a verdict, they can file an appeal or punravedan, asking a higher court to review the decision. Crime Aparadh. A aparadh is any act that breaks the law. Whether it's stealing or something more serious, it's a legal wrongdoing that the court will address. Penalty Sajai. A sajai is a punishment imposed for breaking the law. It's the consequence that follows a legal breach. Defendant Prativadi. In the courtroom drama, the Prativadi is the person accused of a crime. They stand in defense, hoping for a fair trial. Plaintiff Muddedar. The Muddedar is the person who brings the case to court, seeking justice or compensation for a grievance. Prosecutor Abhiyojankarta. The Abhiyojankarta is the lawyer who presents the case against the defendant, aiming to prove their guilt. Defense Pratiraksha. Pratiraksha is the strategy used by the defendant to argue their case and prove their innocence or lessen their liability. Guilty Doshi. If someone is found doshi, they are proven to have committed the crime. It's the result of the court's findings. Innocent Nirdosh. An Nirdosh person has been found not guilty. It means they did not commit the crime they were accused of. Sentence Sajai. A sajai is the punishment given to someone found guilty of a crime. It's the legal consequence they must face. Arrest Giraftari. When someone is taken into custody, it's called Giraftari. This is the first step in the legal process for someone accused of a crime. Custody Hirasat. Hirasat refers to the legal responsibility for someone who has been arrested. It's where they are held while awaiting their trial or other legal proceedings. Charge Abhiyog. An abhiyog is a formal accusation that someone has committed a crime. It's what the court will examine to determine guilt or innocence. Fine Jarivana. A jarivana is a monetary penalty imposed as punishment for breaking the law. It's a way to penalize the wrongdoing financially. Jury Nirnayak Mandal. The Nirnayak Mandal is a group of people who are tasked with deciding the verdict in a trial. They help the judge by giving their collective decision. Testimony Sakshya. Sakshya is the evidence provided by witnesses in court. It's their account of what they saw or know about the case. Agreement Sehmati. Sehmati is when parties reach a mutual understanding. It's a verbal or written accord that is often part of legal transactions. Dispute Vivad. A vivad is a disagreement that often leads to legal action. It's a conflict that needs resolution, typically through legal means. Settlement Samadhan. Samadhan is an agreement reached to resolve a dispute. It's the final compromise that both parties accept. Inheritance Uttaradhikar. Uttaradhikar refers to the property or assets passed down from a deceased person. It's the legal right to inherit what someone has left behind. Liability Uttardayitva. Uttardayitva is the legal responsibility for something, such as a debt or obligation. It's what someone is required to fulfill or answer for. Fraud Thagi. Thagi is deceit or trickery used for personal gain. It's a criminal act that involves dishonesty and deception. Forgery Nakkali. Nakkali involves creating fake documents or signatures with the intent to deceive. It's a serious legal offense. Complaint Ujuri. An ujuri is a formal report made to the authorities about a grievance or legal issue. It's the first step in seeking legal redress. Summons Saman. A summon is a legal document requiring someone to appear in court. It's the official notice to attend a legal proceeding. Affidavit Shapath Patra. A Shapath Patra is a sworn written statement used as evidence in court. It's a document where someone affirms the truth of their statements. Legal proceedings Kanuni Karyavahi. Kanuni Karyavahi is the process of taking legal action through the court system. It's the series of steps followed to resolve a legal issue. Power of attorney Adhikar Patra. Adhikar Patra allows someone to act on behalf of another in legal matters. It's the authorization given to someone to make decisions for another person. Will Wasiyat. A wasiyat is a document that outlines how a person's assets should be distributed after their death. It's a legal declaration of one's final wishes. Divorce Sambandh Vichhed. Sambandh Vichhed is the legal dissolution of a marriage. It's the formal process by which a marriage is ended. Alimony Guzara Bhatta. Guzara Bhatta is financial support paid to a spouse after a divorce. It's meant to help the lower-earning spouse maintain their standard of living. Custody of children Bachcha ko Abhiraksha. Bachcha ko Abhiraksha determines who will have legal responsibility for raising children after a divorce or separation. It's about who gets to care for the children. Litigation Muddha. Muddha refers to the process of taking legal action. It's the formal procedure for seeking justice or compensation. Mediation Madhyasthata. Madhyasthata is a method of resolving disputes outside of court with the help of a neutral third party. It's a way to find a compromise without going to trial. Negligence Laparwahi. Laparwahi is a failure to take proper care, leading to harm or damage. It's a legal term for when someone doesn't act with the expected level of care. Notary. A notary is an official who verifies signatures and documents. They ensure that documents are authentic and legally binding. Perjury, jhutha bayan. Jhutha bayan is the act of lying under oath. It's a serious offense in the legal system as it undermines the integrity of the court. Probation, pariveeksha. Pariveeksha is a period during which an offender is monitored instead of serving time in prison. It's a chance for rehabilitation while remaining under legal supervision. Warrant, pakrao purji. A pakrao purji is a legal document authorizing law enforcement to arrest someone or search their property. It's the official permission needed for such actions. Lawsuit, mudda. A mudda is a legal action taken in court to resolve a dispute. It's the formal procedure for seeking justice or compensation. Confession, svikarokti. Svikriti is when someone admits to committing a crime. It's a direct acknowledgement of guilt. 50. Breach of contract, samjhauta ullanghan. Samjhauta ullanghan happens when someone fails to fulfill their obligations as per the contract. It's the breaking of agreed terms. Court-related terms. Court, adalat. Adaltma mudda darta गरिए को छ. A case has been filed in court. Adaltale doshilai sajai sunayo. The court sentenced the guilty. Judge, न्यायाधीश. न्यायाधीशले आज को सुनुवाई स्थगित कर दिए. The judge postponed today's hearing. न्यायाधीश को निर्णयले सबैलाई चकित पार्यो. The judge's decision surprised everyone. Lawyer, वकील बटा अधिवक्ता. वकीलले मुद्दाको कागजातहरू तयार गरे. The lawyer prepared the case documents. अधिवक्ताले मुद्दा जित्नको लागि कडा मेहनत गरे. The advocate worked hard to win the case. Prosecutor, अभियोजनकर्ता. अभियोजनकर्ताले दोषीलाई कडा सजाय मागे. The prosecutor demanded a harsh sentence for the guilty. अभियोजनकर्ताले अदालतमा प्रमाण प्रस्तुत गरे. The prosecutor presented evidence in court. Defense, प्रतिरक्षा. प्रतिरक्षा को पक्षले मुद्दालाई कमजोर बनायो. The defense weakened the case. वकीलले प्रतिरक्षामा नया प्रमाण पेश करे. The lawyer presented new evidence in defense. Jury, निर्णायक मंडल. निर्णायक मंडलले दोषीलाई निर्दोष घोषित गर्यो. The jury declared the defendant not guilty. निर्णायक मंडलले साक्ष्यहरूलाई गहिरो अध्ययन गर्यो. The jury thoroughly examined the evidence. Notary, notary. नोटरीले कागजातमा हस्ताक्षर गरिदिए. The notary signed the documents. कानूनी कार्यवाहीमा नोटरीको भूमिका महत्वपूर्ण छ. The role of a notary is important in legal proceedings. Legal proceedings, कानूनी कार्यवाही. कानूनी कार्यवाही लामो समयसम्म चल्यो. The legal proceedings went on for a long time. अदालतले कानूनी कार्यवाहीलाई त्वरित बनाउन आदेश दियो. The court ordered the legal proceedings to be expedited. Crime and punishment. Crime, अपराध. उसले ठुलो अपराध गरेको आरोप लागेको छ. He is accused of committing a major crime. अपराध प्रमाणित भएपछि दोषीलाई सजाय दियो. The guilty were punished after the crime was proven. Guilty, दोषी. अदालतले उसलाई दोषी ठहर गर्यो. The court found him guilty. दोषीलाई कडा सजाय सुनाइएको छ. The guilty have been sentenced to harsh punishment. Innocent, निर्दोष. उसले आफूलाई निर्दोष साबित गर्यो. He proved himself innocent. निर्दोषलाई अदालतले रिहा गर्यो. The court released the innocent. Arrest गिरफ्तारी. पुलिसले अभियुक्तलाई पकड़ाव गर्यो. The police arrested the accused. गिरफ्तारी पछि अभियुक्तलाई हिरासतमा राखियो. The accused was kept in custody after the arrest. Custody हिरासत. आरोपीलाई प्रहरी हिरासतमा राखिएको छ. The suspect is being held in police custody. हिरासतमा अभियुक्तलाई कड़ा सुरक्षा दिइन्छ. The accused is given strict security in custody. Fine जरिवाना. उसले नियम उल्लंघन गरेकोमा जरिवाना तिर्नु पर्यो. He had to pay a fine for violating the rules. जरिवाना नतिरेको खण्डमा थप कारबाही हुनेछ. Further action will be taken if the fine is not paid. Negligence लापरवाही. डॉक्टर को लापरवाहीले बिरामीको मृत्यु भयो. The doctor's negligence led to the patient's death. लापरवाहीको कारणले गर्दा ठूलो दुर्घटना भयो. A major accident occurred due to negligence. पर्जरी झूठा बयान. अदालतमा झूठा बयान दिएमा कड़ा सजाय हुन्छ. Giving false testimony in court leads to severe punishment. झूठा बयान को आरोपमा उसलाई अदालतले कारबाही गर्यो. The court punished him for perjury. Fraud ठगी. उसले बैंकमा ठगी गरेको आरोप लागेको छ. He is accused of committing fraud at the bank. ठगीको मामिलामा दोषीलाई अदालतले कारबाही गर्यो. The court took action against the guilty in the fraud case. Forgery नक्कली. उसले नक्कली कागजात बनाएको खुलासा भयो. It was revealed that he forged documents. नक्कली हस्ताक्षर को कारणले मुद्दा दायर गरियो. A case was filed due to forged signatures. Case related terms. Plaintiff मुद्देदार. मुद्देदारले अदालतमा न्यायको लागि निवेदन दियो. The plaintiff filed a petition for justice in court. मुद्देदार को तरफबाट प्रमाण पेश गरियो. Evidence was presented on behalf of the plaintiff. Defendant प्रतिवादी. प्रतिवादीले अदालतमा दोष अस्वीकार गर्यो. The defendant denied the charges in court. प्रतिवादीले आफ्नो पक्षमा वकिल नियुक्त गर्यो. The defendant appointed a lawyer for his defense. Witness साक्षी बटा गवाह. साक्षीले अदालतमा सबै घटनाक्रमको बयान दियो. The witness gave a statement of the entire incident in court. गवाह को बयानले मुद्दा को दिशा परिवर्तन गर्यो. The witness's testimony changed the direction of the case. Testimony साक्ष्य. अदालतले साक्ष्यलाई आधार मान्दै निर्णय सुनायो. The court delivered a verdict based on the testimony. साक्ष्यलाई प्रमाणित गर्न धेरै प्रयास गरियो. A lot of effort was made to verify the testimony. Evidence प्रमाण. मुद्दामा नया प्रमाण प्रस्तुत गरियो. New evidence was presented in the case. अदालतले प्रमाण को आधारमा निर्णय गर्यो. The court made its decision based on the evidence. Verdict फैसला बटा निर्णय. अदालतले आज दोषीलाई सजायको फैसला सुनायो. The court sentenced the guilty today. न्यायाधीश को निर्णयले सबैलाई चकित पार्यो. The judge's verdict surprised everyone. Sentence सजाय. अदालतले दोषीलाई 5 वर्षको सजाय सुनायो. The court sentenced the guilty to 5 years in prison. सजायको समय घटाउन अपील गरिएको छ. An appeal has been filed to reduce the sentence. अपील पुनरावेदन. दोषीले उच्च अदालतमा पुनरावेदन दर्ता गर्यो. The guilty filed an appeal in the higher court. पुनरावेदनले फैसला परिवर्तन गर्न मद्दत गर्यो. The appeal helped to change the verdict. Bail धरौटी. अभियुक्तले अदालतमा धरौटीको लागि निवेदन दियो. The accused filed a bail petition in court. धरौटीमा रिहा भएपछि अभियुक्तले आफ्नो परिवारसँग भेट गर्यो. After being released on bail, the accused met his family. Charge अभियोग प्रहरीले अभियुक्तमाथी चोरी को अभियोग लगायो. The police charged the accused with theft. अभियोग प्रमाणित भयपछी दोषीलाई सजाए सुनायो. The guilty were sentenced after the charges were proven. सम्मन्स समन बटा समन पत्र अदालतले प्रतिवादीलाई समन पठायो. The court sent a summons to the defendant. समन पत्र पाएपछी प्रतिवादी अदालत उपस्थित भयो. After receiving the summons, the defendant appeared in court. Warrant पकराव पुर्जी अदालतले अभियुक्त को पकराव का लागी पुर्जी जारी करियो. The court issued a warrant for the arrest of the accused. पकराव पुर्जी जारी भयपछी अभियुक्तलाई पकराव करियो. The accused was arrested after the warrant was issued. Agreements and contracts. Contract समझौता दुई पक्ष बीच समझौता हस्ताक्षर भयो. A contract was signed between the two parties. समझौतामा उल्लिखित शर्तहरू पालना गर्नुपर्छ. The terms mentioned in the contract must be followed. Agreement सहमति दुवै पक्ष बीच सहमति कायम भयो. An agreement was reached between both parties. सहमति अनुसार कार्यान्वयन गरिनेछ. Implementation will be done as per the agreement. Settlement समाधान विवाद को समाधान सहमति बाट भयो. The dispute was settled through mutual agreement. मुद्दा को समाधान अदालत बाहिर करियो. The case was settled out of court. Breach of contract समझौता उल्लंघन कंपनीले समझौता को उल्लंघन करियो. The company breached the contract. समझौता उल्लंघन को कारण मुद्दा दायर भयो. A case was filed due to breach of contract. Other legal terms. Affidavit शपथ पत्र मुद्दा को क्रममा शपथ पत्र पेश करियो. An affidavit was presented during the case. शपथपत्रमा सबै तथ्यहरू प्रमाणित गरिए. All facts were verified in the affidavit. Will वसियत बुबाको वसियतमा सम्पत्ति बाँडफाँट गरिएको छ. The property was distributed according to the father's will. वसियतमा नाम जोड्न विवाद चलिरहेको छ. There is a dispute over adding a name to the will. Inheritance उत्तराधिकार संपत्ति उत्तराधिकार को आधारमा बाँडफाँट भयो. The property was divided based on inheritance. उत्तराधिकार का लागी कानूनी कागजात तैयार पारियो. Legal documents were prepared for inheritance. Power of attorney अधिकार पत्र बुबाले आफ्नो छोरा छोरीलाई अधिकार पत्रमा हस्ताक्षर गरिदिए. The father signed the power of attorney for his children. संपत्ति को व्यवस्थापन गर्न अधिकार पत्र को आवश्यकता पर्छ. Power of attorney is required for managing the property. Miscellaneous Complaint उजुरी उनले प्रहरीमा उजुरी दर्ता करे. He filed a complaint with the police. उजुरी को आधारमा अनुसंधान सुरु गरियो. Investigation was initiated based on the complaint. Litigation मुद्दा विवाद को समाधान न भयपछी मुद्दा दायर गरियो. A case was filed after the dispute couldn't be resolved. मुद्दा जितन का लागी वकील्ले कड़ा मेहनत करे. The lawyer worked hard to win the case. Probation परिवीक्षा दोषीलाई परिवीक्षामा छोडियो. The guilty were released on probation. परिवीक्षामा रहेको व्यक्तिले नियम पालन गर्नुपर्छ. A person on probation must follow the rules.
विनोद र सीमा दुवै साथी थिए र एउटा नयाँ व्यवसाय सुरु गर्न चाहन्थे. उनीहरूले एउटा सम्झौतामा हस्ताक्षर गरे जसमा दुवैको कर्तव्य र अधिकारहरू स्पष्ट गरिएको थियो. Bernard and Senna were friends who wanted to start a new business together. They signed a contract that clearly outlined their duties and rights. तर व्यवसायको पहिलो महिना नै सीमा व्यवसायको सबै काममा बेवास्ता गर्न थालिन्. उनले सम्झौतामा उल्लेख गरिएको कार्य पूरा गर्न अन्याय गर्नु सुरु गरिन्। However, in the very first month of the business, Sema started neglecting all the tasks. She began ignoring the work outlined in the contract. विनोदले यसमा गम्भीर ध्यान दिएर अदालतमा मुद्दा दायर गरे। अदालतमा विनोदले सीमा विरुद्ध प्रमाण प्रस्तुत गरे जसमा सम्झौतामा उल्लिखित प्रत्येक कर्तव्यको रेकर्ड थियो। Benard took the matter seriously and filed a lawsuit in court. In court, Benard presented evidence against Sema, which included records of each duty outlined in the contract. सीमा भने अदालतमा उपस्थित नभई म त काम गर्न सक्दिन भनेको छैन। म त चाँडै फर्किन्छु भनेर सोचेकी थिए। Sema, not showing up in court, said, I never said I couldn't work. I just thought I'd return soon. अदालतले नेहाले सीमाद्वारा उल्लिखित शर्तहरूको उल्लङ्घनको पुष्टि गर्दै दण्ड र क्षतिपूर्ति तिर्न आदेश दियो। The court confirmed Sema's breach of the terms and ordered her to pay a fine and compensation. सीमा हस्दै भनिन्, यो त राम्रो कुरा भयो। अब म आफ्नो छुट्याइएको समयको रमाइलो गर्न सक्छु। Sema laughed and said, this turned out well. Now I can enjoy my free time. यस घटनाले विनोद र सीमाको मित्रता र व्यवसायमा सस्तो हाँसो ल्यायो। This incident brought a touch of cheap humor to Benard and Sema's friendship and business. नेपाली स्टोरी। रामु र सुरेश एकजना व्यापारिक साथी थिए। उनीहरूले एउटा व्यापारिक सम्झौतामा हस्ताक्षर गरेका थिए जसमा केही कानुनी शर्तहरू समावेश थिए। Ramu and Suresh were business partners. They had signed a business contract, which included several legal terms. सम्झौतामा एक विशेष खण्ड थियो जसमा प्रत्येक पक्षको दायित्व र उत्तराधिकार स्पष्ट गरिएको थियो। The contract included a specific clause outlining the responsibilities and liabilities of each party. तर समय बित्दै गयो र सुरेशले सम्झौताका शर्तहरू पूरा नगरी व्यापारिक गतिविधिहरूमा संलग्न हुन थाल्यो। However, as time passed, Suresh began engaging in business activities without fulfilling the contract terms. रामुले यो विषयमा उजुरी दर्ता गर्न अदालतमा पुगे। Ramu went to court to file a complaint about this issue. अदालतमा न्यायाधीशले मुद्दा सुन्न थाले र रामुको वकिलले सम्झौतामा उल्लिखित प्रमाणहरू प्रस्तुत गरे। In court, the judge began hearing the case and Ramu's lawyer presented evidence outlined in the contract. सुरेशको वकिलले भने सम्झौतामा गरिएको गल्तीहरूको बोध गर्न नसकेको दाबी गर्दै बचाव गरे। Suresh's lawyer defended by claiming that he was unaware of the errors in the contract. मुद्दाको समय अदालतले साक्षीहरूको बयान लिने निर्णय गर्यो। During the trial, the court decided to hear the testimonies of witnesses. साक्षीहरूले पुष्टि गरे कि सुरेशले सम्झौतामा उल्लिखित शर्तहरूको पालना नगरेको थियो। The witnesses confirmed that Suresh had not complied with the terms specified in the contract. अदालतले निर्णय गर्दा सुरेशलाई सम्झौतामा उल्लिखित शर्तहरूको उल्लङ्घन र धोखाधडीको आरोपमा दोषी ठहर गर्यो। When delivering the verdict, the court found Suresh guilty of breaching the contract and committing fraud. सजायको रूपमा सुरेशलाई दण्ड तिर्न आदेश दिइयो र रामुलाई क्षतिपूर्ति प्राप्त गर्नको लागि हकदार ठहराइयो। As punishment, Suresh was ordered to pay a fine, and Ramu was entitled to receive compensation. सुरेशको वकिलले पुनरावेदनको लागि मुद्दा दायर गर्यो। Suresh's lawyer filed an appeal for the case. पुनरावेदन अदालतमा अदालतले पुराना साक्षीहरूको बयान र प्रमाणहरूको पुनरावलोकन गर्यो। In the appellate court, the court reviewed the testimonies of the previous witnesses and the evidence. यसपालि अदालतले रामुको दाबीलाई मान्यता दिनबाट इन्कार गर्दै सुरेशलाई निर्दोष प्रमाणित गर्यो। This time, the court refused to acknowledge Ramu's claim and declared Suresh innocent. अन्ततः रामुलाई अदालतको फैसलामा असहमत भएर जरिवाना तिर्न आदेश दिइयो। Ultimately, Ramu was ordered to pay a fine for disagreeing with the court's decision. यस घटनाले उनीहरूको व्यावसायिक सम्बन्धमा तनाव ल्यायो। This incident caused tension in their professional relationship. नेहा र राजन एकजना साथी थिए जसले सँगै एउटा ठूला परियोजनामा काम गरिरहेका थिए। परियोजनामा एक महत्त्वपूर्ण सम्झौता गरेको थियो जसमा परियोजनाको काम सम्पन्न गर्नका लागि केही कानुनी जिम्मेवारीहरू समावेश गरिएको थियो। Neha and Rajan were friends working together on a large project. They had made an important contract for the project, which included some legal responsibilities to complete the work. सम्झौतामा कुनै प्रकारको उल्लङ्घन गरेमा दण्ड र क्षतिपूर्ति तिर्नुपर्ने कुरा स्पष्ट गरिएको थियो। The contract clearly stated that any breach would result in fines and compensation. तर परियोजना अघि नबढ्दा राजनले केही वित्तीय समस्याहरूको कारण सम्झौतामा उल्लिखित कार्यहरू पूरा गर्न सकेन। However, as the project progressed slowly, Rajan failed to complete the tasks mentioned in the contract due to some financial issues. नेहाले अदालतमा मुद्दा दायर गरिन् जसमा राजनले सम्झौतामा उल्लिखित शर्तहरूको उल्लङ्घन गरेको आरोप लगाइन्। Neha filed a lawsuit in court, accusing Rajan of breaching the terms outlined in the contract. अदालतमा न्यायाधीशले मुद्दाको सुनुवाई गर्न थाले र नेहाको वकिलले सम्झौतामा उल्लिखित कागजात र प्रमाणहरू प्रस्तुत गरे। In court, the judge began hearing the case, and Neha's lawyer presented documents and evidence outlined in the contract. राजनको वकिलले भने वित्तीय समस्याहरूका कारण सम्झौतामा उल्लिखित काम पूरा गर्न नसकेको दाबी गर्दै बचाव गरे। Rajan's lawyer defended by claiming that he was unable to complete the tasks mentioned in the contract due to financial difficulties. मुद्दाको समयमा अदालतले साक्षीहरूको बयान लिने निर्णय गर्यो जसले मामला बुझ्नमा मद्दत पुर्यायो। During the trial, the court decided to take witness testimonies, which helped clarify the case. साक्षीहरूले पुष्टि गरे कि राजनले सम्झौतामा उल्लिखित जिम्मेवारीहरू पूरा नगरेको थियो। The witnesses confirmed that Rajan had not fulfilled the responsibilities mentioned in the contract. अदालतले राजनलाई सम्झौतामा उल्लिखित शर्तहरूको उल्लङ्घनको दोषी ठहर गर्यो र नेहालाई क्षतिपूर्ति प्राप्त गर्न आदेश दियो। The court found Rajan guilty of breaching the contract and ordered him to pay compensation to Neha. तर राजनको वकिलले पुनरावेदन दर्ता गरे। However, Rajan's lawyer filed an appeal. पुनरावेदन अदालतमा अदालतले सबै प्रमाणहरू र साक्षीहरूको बयान पुनरावलोकन गर्यो। In the appellate court, the court reviewed all the evidence and witness statements. यसपालि अदालतले राजनलाई निर्दोष प्रमाणित गर्यो र नेहाले अदालतको फैसलामा असहमत भएर जरिवाना तिर्न आदेश पाइन्। This time, the court declared Rajan innocent, and Neha was ordered to pay a fine for disagreeing with the court's decision. यस घटनाले नेहाको र राजनको मित्रताको बीचमा तनाव ल्यायो र परियोजनाको भविष्यमा असर पार्यो। This incident caused tension between Neha and Rajan's friendship and had an impact on the future of the project. एक समयको कुरा हो, काठमाडौँको एक अदालतमा एक ठूलो मुद्दा चलिरहेको थियो। Once upon a time, a major case was ongoing in a court in Kathmandu. यस मुद्दामा दुवै पक्षले निकै ठूलो कानूनी सङ्घर्ष गरिरहेका थिए। The case involved a significant legal battle between two parties. अभियुक्त तिमल सङ्घले वसियतको विषयमा विवाद गरेका थिए। The dispute was over a will between the parties involved. वसियतमा नाम जोड्नका लागि मुद्दा दायर गरिएको थियो। A lawsuit had been filed to add a name to the will. अदालतमा न्यायाधीशले मुद्दाको सुनुवाई गर्न थाले। In court, the judge began hearing the case. मुद्देदारले अदालतमा उजुरी दर्ता गरे र प्रमाणको रूपमा आफ्नो वसियत र अन्य कागजात प्रस्तुत गरे। The plaintiff filed a complaint in court and presented evidence, including the will and other documents. प्रतिवादीले भने आफू निर्दोष रहेको दाबी गर्दै प्रमाण पेश गरे। The defendant claimed innocence and provided evidence in his defense. अभियोजनकर्ताले अपराधको आरोप लगाउँदै प्रतिवादीलाई दोषी ठहर गराउनको लागि तर्क गरे। The prosecutor argued that the defendant should be found guilty of the crime. उनले अदालतमा साक्षीहरूको बयान पेश गरे जसले मुद्दामा थप प्रकाश पारे। He presented witnesses' testimonies in court, which shed light on the case. प्रतिरक्षा पक्षले भने साक्षीहरूको बयानको विरोध गर्दै तर्क गर्यो कि तिनीहरूले झुटा बयान दिएका थिए। The defense argued against the witnesses' statements, claiming they had given false testimony. अदालतले निर्णय गर्नका लागि निर्णायक मण्डललाई आदेश दियो। The court ordered the jury to make a decision. लामो कानूनी कार्यवाहीपछि निर्णायक मण्डलले प्रतिवादीलाई दोषी ठहर गर्यो। After a lengthy legal proceeding, the jury found the defendant guilty. न्यायाधीशले फैसला सुनाउँदै प्रतिवादीलाई झुटा बयान, अपराध र सम्झौता उल्लङ्घनको आरोपमा सजाय सुनाए। The judge issued a verdict, sentencing the defendant for false testimony, crime, and breach of contract. फैसलापछि प्रतिवादीको वकिलले पुनरावेदन दर्ता गरे। After the verdict, the defendant's lawyer filed an appeal. पुनरावेदन अदालतमा मुद्दा फेरि सुनुवाई भएको थियो। The appeal was heard in a higher court. यसपालि अदालतले प्रतिवादीलाई निर्दोष प्रमाणित गर्यो। This time, the court declared the defendant innocent. अदालतको फैसलामा असहमत भएका मुद्देदारले जरिवाना तिर्न आदेश पाए। The plaintiff, who disagreed with the verdict, was ordered to pay a fine. यस घटनाले अदालतको कक्षको वातावरणलाई गम्भीरता साथ परिवर्तन गर्यो। This incident significantly altered the atmosphere in the courtrooms. अदालतको निर्णयले मुद्देदार र प्रतिवादीको जीवनमा गहिरो असर पुर्यायो। The court's decision had a profound impact on the lives of both the plaintiff and the defendant.